if I get an opportunity to put a Black woman on screen for people to see them in love, in happy, in joy, in pain, in struggle, what I'm doing is a service to all people. So to have an opportunity to be able to paint all of these pictures in all sides of us, something that I'm paying homage to my mother, to my aunt, to my sisters, and friends and cousins, and the things that they all went through. So that's what I would say to that.
Complex subject because each artist should be allowed to pursue the artistic endeavor. But I still think there a lot of stuff that's on today is coonery buffoonery. And I know it's making a lot of money, breaking records, but we could do better. That's just my opinion.
Spike Lee called it, folks. He said it over 2 decades ago, and we're still dealing with the same narrative. We're talking Tyler Perry's empire. And with his latest film, Straw, is why his storytelling is what I'm calling poverty porn. Why his depiction of Black stories is what I'd call poverty porn. Now, what is poverty porn? It's the commodification of suffering. Stories that center poor, oppressed characters solely for dramatic effects without offering resolution, agency, or dignity. These are the stories that Tyler loves to tell. These are the films that he loves to create. Now, back in '09, Spike Lee describes his shows as coonery buffoonery, equating them to minstrel shows of the past that showcase racial caricatures that mock Black life. And his latest film, man, is The Final Straw. We can't keep letting this man get away with this. We can't keep letting this man represent us this way. You know, Spike Lee said, I see ads for these shows, and I'm scratching my head. We got a Black president, and we're going back to Manta Moreland and Sleep and Eat. He meant to challenge the lowbrow entertainment that reinforces harmful stereotypes. Tyler Perry, he responded. He had something to say about this. He responded to this. He said, Spike can go to hell. I'm sick of him saying, this is coon that, this is buffoon this, yada, yada, yada. He defends himself by saying that these characters come from real people he loved, the Southern Black woman with no diploma but resilience and humor. What? 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 Okay, here's the core issue. Why those portrayals dominate Black entertainment? Why? We demand more complexity, stories that uplift, challenge, and expand our image. Tyler defends his films by saying it's truth to his experiences. But those experiences are just one part of Black life. They're not the definition of being Black. When most of our stories that get greenlit are trauma heavy, filled with dysfunction, abuse, fish out of water comedy, or caricatures, it starts to shape our perceptions. Spike Lee said we can do better, and we definitely can. We most definitely can. And when we look at his latest film on Netflix, Straw, he leans heavy. Tyler Perry leans in heavy. No slapstick, no Medea, no jokes, just a single Black woman in a crisis. Eviction, illness, economic collapse, hostage situation. God damn. Damn, man. This movie doubles down on trauma. It is yet another cycle of Black suffering we expected to consume. This movie is poverty porn because it makes Jania's pain the entire plot engine. She doesn't grow. She doesn't fight the system. She breaks for our viewing. Straw is a troubling reminder that the kinds of stories Hollywood greenlets when it comes to Black women is pain, 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 and more pain, and more pain. The movie has no balance. There's no light, there's no relief. Even a hint of humor or hope would have made it more bearable. There's poor character development. Janaya suffers but doesn't transform, and the supporting characters have no arcs whatsoever. And the message behind the movie? It wants to say something about the system. It tries to critique the system, but it adds nothing new to the conversation. This movie aims to speak truth to power, but says little we haven't heard already. When Spike Lee speaks about Tyler movie, he says he doesn't worry about how black people see themselves, more so than how the rest of the world sees us. He believes that Hollywood limits black creativity just to a few boxes: trauma, crime, comedy, or dysfunction. And Tyler Perry is feeding the system instead of pushing it forward. If the most visible black stories look like this, and they're often filled with broken families, abusive relationships, and over the top stereotypes, it shapes what becomes normal in the media landscape. We can do better, man. We can do better. Tyler, we need better. And Tyler Perry's response to this criticism is just dismissive by him saying, I'm just telling stories about people I grew up around. These are stories from the black community. And if people don't like them, they don't have to watch. What? What? Firstly, it's a deflection. It's not a real engagement with the core critique of his films. It avoids accountability. What many people have been saying is challenging the larger impact of his work on the image of black people in media. Secondly, it centers his feelings over community dialogue. Rather than engaging in meaningful conversation, he personalizes the critique, shuts down any constructive dialogue, and avoids the opportunity to grow the culture of black storytelling through collaboration and critique. Mm. Thirdly, he weaponizes relatability. Tyler often says, these stories are from the aunties of my community, the people I love, da da da. That, you know, he's implying that if you criticize my work, you're criticizing the people that I grew up around. You're criticizing everyday black people. That is not true. What we're saying is that the way we're being represented repeatedly is problematic. You can love and respect your community without flattening them into the same tropes over and over and over again. When you have so much control as Tyler Perry, he owns the biggest studio. He he's a writer, directing, producing. You're not just a storyteller. You're a gatekeeper of how black stories are told to the world. Can I get an amen from the congregation? White people, white folks, they get epic love, adventure, joy, and healing on screen. They have movies like The Notebook, which is a passionate love story that stands the test of time. They have Titanic. Rich girl meets poor boy, they fall in love against the odds. They have La La Land. Dreamers fall in love in LA, balancing love and ambition. They have Me Before You, an emotional story about loving someone with a disability. Come on, man. I'm spitballing here. What other movie they got Pretty Woman. That's a Cinderella-like romance with charm and humor. What else? They got 10 Things I Hate About You. High school enemies turn to lovers. Huh? What else? What else? They got Twilight. They got fantasy vampire romance with a massive fan base. Huh? What other movie they got? They got The Proposal, which is a romantic comedy about a high-powered editor who fakes an engagement with her assistant to avoid deportation, only for real feelings to complicate the scheme, only for real feelings to complicate the situation. Wow, wow, wow. That's amazing right there. That's amazing right there. All these films, man, they represent those people in such a beautiful way. And we as black people, no, we as black people, we also used to have these great films, man. We had progress, man. We had great stories like that highlighted great black characters. Movies like Love and Basketball, a movie about love, ambition, and sacrifice, told through the lens of two athletes. Iconic. We had The Best Man, follows a group of college friends uniting for a wedding, where secrets from a best-selling novel threatens to destroy relationships and test lifelong bonds. And then the movie had a sequel which adds maturity and emotional depth to an already loved characters. Come on, man. We had movies like Just Right, which is a feel-good romance between a physical therapist and an injured NBA star, centering a smart, loving black woman. It is centering a smart, loving black woman, not a caricature, not a stereotype. We had Think Like a Man, a fun ensemble with real chemistry and relatable relationship dynamics. We had Deliver Us from Eva, which is a romantic comedy about a charming ladies' man hired to date a tough, controlling woman, only for both of them to unexpectedly fall in love. Huh? What else? We had Coach Carter. It tells the story of a high school basketball coach who benches his undefeated team for poor academic performance, teaching them discipline, respect, and the value of education over sports. What? These films showcase richness of black life, love, joy, growth, and excellence without relying on trauma as the centerpiece. Come on, man. At the heart of this conversation is a simple but critique question. Who gets to tell our stories and how should they be told? Tyler Perry has undeniably opened doors and built an empire. But when the dominant stories about Black people on screen are filled with suffering, abuse, and trauma, often told through flat characters and overused tropes, it becomes more than just entertainment. It shapes how we see ourselves and how others see us. Films like The Best Man, Love and Basketball, Think Like a Man, Deliver Us from Eva, Coach Carter, and many others prove that Black stories can be beautiful, layered, and joyful without erasing our struggles, but also without being defined by them, without being defined by them. Spike wasn't attacking success, he was defending our dignity. So as we move forward, we need to keep asking, are we reflecting truth or recycling pain? Are we empowering ourselves or exploiting ourselves? That's it for this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you can be up to date on our next videos. Until next time.